potent advice, and inspiration from real self-made millionaires. Welcome to the Eventual Millionaire with your host, Jaime Masters.
Welcome to Eventual Millionaire. I'm Jaime Masters, and today I have Justin Ledford back on the show. He wrote the book Visions to the Top. You can check it out at visionstothetop.com. And I'm super excited to talk about visualization and productivity and how they intertwine together. But before we dive in, I just want to say this interview is actually brought to you by Chase Inc. Business Unlimited Credit Card. With 1.5% cash back on every purchase, no annual fee, no minimum balance to redeem rewards, the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited Credit Card is a great choice for busy entrepreneurs. Brought to you by Chase Bank USA, NA. Check out chase.com/inc for more information. So Justin, to dive in, let's sort of define what visualization actually means.
Absolutely. Visualization is an elite practice that top performers have been using before, for thousands of years. What it is, in my definition, is the ability to envision what you want for your future to be like, and then do a practice daily to foresee that future that you want. And in a little bit, we'll talk about some techniques that we use on how to actually visualize the simplest and the easiest way. But visualization, all it is it's you time. It's a time where you sharpen your own axe before the kids wake up. It's a time for you to, go into yourself with your eyes closed, kind of like a meditative practice. And the ability to tap into your ideal day, the ability to see what you want to happen for the week, the ability to see what you want the outcome that you want for the month or for the quarter or for the year. And by doing so, it gives you the confidence to go after those goals, and it makes you more productive. There's tons of studies that prove that, and we're happy to go over some of those in a little bit.
Well, that's exactly what I want to talk about, because normally it's like, well, now you have to take time to sit out and do more things. And they're like, great, I thought I was supposed to be more productive. How does it make you more productive?
So there's all kinds of studies. And whenever they got a group of non-basketball players, and what they did is three groups. One group, they said, okay, go practice shooting. The other group, they said, don't practice shooting at all. And then the third group, they said, just close your eyes, and they guided them through some visualization practices. And I just want you to see yourself shooting and making the hoop every time. And out of those three groups, the one that was most successful and made the most shots when they had their day of the test was the group that actually did just the visualization, no practice. And then obviously the people who practiced, and then the last place was the people who didn't practice at all. And how does it make you more productive or more confident? Is it actually rewires your neurons inside of your brain. And that's what happens, because if you're doing something for the first time, you might not be confident. But whenever you see yourself doing it and you feel yourself doing it inside of with your eyes closed, it actually gives you that strength. And more importantly, the brain wires it fires off those neurons as if you're doing it. It can't tell the difference. It can't tell the difference if you're actually doing that activity, even though you're not doing that activity. You're just seeing it in your mind's eye.
So how do we apply that to business, though? It's funny. It's like, do I just think about making a bazillion sales so that way right? Like, how do we actually practically do that for our day?
So for me, it's a real simple process. Inside the book, Visions to the Top, I talk about the 4 phases of visualization. And this isn't anything new that I created. I've learned it from all the greats, all the top entrepreneurs and success people do it. And the 4 phases of visualization are, the first is breathing. You have to just calm your mind. Breathing, just close your eyes and relax. Do that for a minute or two. The second phase is inward thought. So you start to think about what successes you've had in the past from the moment you're born until this moment in time, and feel those moments of success, because you need to anchor your mind to gratitude. The third stage is actually what you want to achieve. Go to that moment in time of the day of where you're making that sale, where you have the pen in your hand and you're inking that deal, or where you're closing that prospect, or where you're getting a high five from Mrs. Jones or whoever it is that you're making that, closing that deal with. And by doing so, you actually you smile when you do it. I want you to smile when you're in that third stage, And then the last stage is obviously just acceptance. Just kind of go back to your breathing and accept it, expect it to come to you, and accept that it's going to come to you. It doesn't always come to you. Like most of the time it does. If you take the action, if you work your butt off, it will come to you. And that's how I do it. It's just 4 phases. Again, breathing, think about what you're grateful for and your successes you've had in the past. And then think about feel the goals that you want to achieve for that day, that week, that month, that year, and then accept it and expect it. And those are the 4 phases.
How deep do we go in this? Because I was going to say, I do a mind movie, right? So I have this mind movie that I watch and I love it. And it's gotten to the point where it's kind of broad now. So, right. So it's like, oh, I want all these things and this is lovely. So what I like what you're saying is you're actually saying like, imagine you inking the deal and that feeling that comes up, and it sounds very micro. How detailed do we get in some of this stuff?
Yeah. So for me, I like to just find some kind of tune on YouTube, just like a like a calm alpha wave or something, maybe a 10, 15, maybe a 20-minute song with no words, and just put that on and then put your headphones on, close your eyes before the kids wake up. And that's all it takes. It takes 10, 15, 20 minutes, however many minutes you have. That's how long you can expect to do it. And the more you do it, like with the first time you go work out, you're tired, you're not good at it. You're kind of looking around, people are kind of, you think people are making fun of you, but nobody's looking at you. Nobody cares what you're doing. And the top performers in the world, they work on themselves first, and then they go out and they conquer their day. And this is one of the techniques that they do. So like I said, 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. So before the kids wake up, which I really appreciate because it is way harder when you're hearing them in the background to actually focus on anything, right? I've got children, I know.
Yeah. And I don't feel right if I don't do it. Like I literally don't, I'm kind of grumpy and, I feel like my vibes are off if I don't realign my own vibes.
See, and I agree with that too. It's funny. A lot of people are like vibes, but my kids know when I don't meditate and I don't do this. They're like, Mom, did you meditate today? And I'm like, how'd you know? How'd you get? Oh yeah, because I'm agitated. And I feel like that's one of the keys to productivity that people don't really talk about. Your attitude in the day makes such a huge difference. Because if you're a curmudgeon and grumpy, right? My dad is named Grumpa to my children instead of Grandpa because he's always a grumpy guy, right? But every day he doesn't seem like he feels like he gets a lot of amazingness out of the day because he's like, this sucks, right? He's a wonderful human in general. But I feel like that attitude that you come at with the day makes a huge difference. So how do we intertwine that within your day, especially if it isn't going the way that you want it to? How do we bring it back around?
So that's a great question. Back when I was doing like direct sales, so how to use mental imagery. There's single images and then there's multiple images. And like you were saying, you kind of get clouded with all these different thoughts that you're visualizing. Well, I want you to start your day off like, okay, these are the 4 things that I want to achieve. And I want you to focus on those 4 things in your mind's eye and try to see them. And if you can't see them, that's okay. The muscle hasn't developed yet, but it will develop over time. If you can't see them, feel them. And imagine you have a dial on your chest, a dial from 1 to 10. 1 is the volume is low, 10, the volume is extremely high. If you can't see it yet, that's okay. What I want you to do is feel it. And when you see that moment of, you being that awesome mom or you being that awesome businessman or woman, turn that dial up and kind of get silly. Like, turn that dial up and smile and feel and amplify the energy. By amplifying the energy, it instills confidence in you. So I used to do direct sales, and after 5, 6 appointments, I'm exhausted, but I need to hit my goal for the day that I intended in the morning. So before I get out of my truck, I would literally close my eyes. I would turn the dial up. I'd see the ideal moment that I wanted to happen in that upcoming event that I'm about to go into their house to make the sale. And I would turn that dial up and it would make me feel good. It'd recharge my battery. We only have so many units of energy every single day. And we don't want to waste our units of energy on stuff that doesn't matter. But sometimes, we get phone calls from people or, traffic, whatever, and we feel our energy draining. So to stay productive as possible, take a minute or two in the middle of your day. I do this several times a day where I'll close my eyes and I'll see what I want to about to happen in the next couple hours, and I'll just turn that dial up, and then I'll go after it and attack it. And most of the time it happens how I intend it to happen.
That's amazing. Okay. How did you start to enact that? So like, it sounds like it's a trigger for you. Like as soon as you know your battery's going, you're like, let's get some of that energy back. How can people that are listening right now just start to do that? So that way they remember, because no offense, when we're in our daily grind, we're like, okay, we got all this stuff to do. I'm exhausted. I want to take a nap, not do a little dial thing that's supposed to make me feel better, right? They forget.
Right. You know, it's as simple as setting an alarm for yourself. We all have smartphones, and we all need to be recharged. Just like we have to eat food, we have to drink water, we have to breathe air. Those are things that give us our nutrition and our energy to keep going. Well, just like that, I set an alarm for myself around the middle of the day, in the morning before the sun rises, in the middle of the day, halfway through the day, after the sun sets, and then later at night. And if somebody just getting started, just do it in the morning, middle of the day, and at night. And that's based off a ton of research. The top performing people in the world, they always visualize in the morning and the afternoon.
Really? Okay. Because I was like, oh, you still set an alarm. It's not like you just remember how to do it. You actually have an alarm that does it.
Yeah, like for this call today, I said call in 30 minutes. I said it a couple days ago, and it reminded me, and I got ready for it.
Because our brains are not supposed to remember that stuff. And I feel like that's the problem, right? We're clouded with all the stuff that we're trying to remember. Put it in your phone, people. All the information that you want to do, prioritize it, put it in your phone so you don't actually have to think about it. Makes a huge difference. Now, I want to talk about flow, because when you were talking about turning up that dial and then getting back into it, it feels like you're saying you're getting back into that flow so you could actually make the sale better. What do you think about flow? And is that part of visualization, or how do they work together?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, everything is energy. And on the fourth stage that I was talking about, it's called turning up the frequency. That is when your eyes are closed, you're doing your breathing, and you're seeing that ideal outcome, and you're turning up that dial. And feel the feeling. When you feel the actual feeling, this is something I learned from, John Vroman from the Front Row Foundation, and Hal Elrod from the Miracle Morning, and Tony Robbins from the seminars that I've attended with him. This is nothing that I came up with. But talking about flow, when you feel the feeling of that success, and then when you go to the last stage where you're just accepting it, you feel like you just left the sauna. You feel like you just left the steam room. You feel rejuvenated. And that's what we all need, because it's easy to get burnt out when we're hustling and just going and flowing. We need that flow, and that's what we have to do. We have to take care of our health by working out and eating good. We have to take care of our spirituality by praying, meditating, doing the visualization. We have to take care of our relationships, family, friends, social interactions. And there's several other things that we have to take care of to have a full balanced wheel of life. And those are just a few of them.
On that note too, it's kind of funny when we were talking before about how your first chapter in your hand, like your health and what you're thinking and how you're feeling makes a huge difference. But you have a story you said about your hand that
Yes.
I would like you to bring up, because it's hard to think about flow when you're in pain. So give me the story that you have on your hand.
Absolutely. So I cut my left hand off. It's hard to see, but I have a massive scar. It's like 3 inches inside of my hand. A Cutco knife went literally through my hand.
Ooh.
And I was in the hospital, and the doctor, I get to the hospital, and I'm like, I kick through the door, and they're like, sit down. Everybody's like rushing to me, and I'm like, help. And I fall down, and the doctors come rushing to me. I busted through the ER place where you're not supposed to go. Like, they were like, sit over here. I was like, no, I'm going to die. I'm going over here. Just bust through the door. And then doctors come rushing to me, and they're like, oh my God, what cut you? I'm like, Cutco, have you ever heard of it? trying to make a sale. And the doctor, I remember, he said to me, you're never going to use your hand again. You're never going to use your hand again. And this is right after I left the Tony Robbins seminar back like 12, 15 years ago, long time ago. And I looked at it and said, I do not accept your diagnosis. Because I knew the power of our mind is phenomenal if you know how to tap into it. And they started, afterwards, they gave me these narcotics to make me feel better. And I was at a moment in my life where I could have made a bad decision. I have a really aggressive personality, and I could have potentially became addicted to those drugs. But I decided I'm going to heal myself with my mind. And what I did is I just did the visualization practices that I've learned that I'm telling y'all about. And within 6 months, I walked back into the hospital and I was like, hey, you remember me? And I was literally like wiggling my fingers a little bit. And the doctor's like, what in the world? How did you do that? I said, it's through visualization and the power of belief and the power of, not giving up and seeing my ideal outcome. And he was really impressed.
Right. So tell me more of the science behind it, because everyone's like, wait a minute, and I've heard many of these stories before, but not talk to the people that are like, oh, by the way, haha. I know the science is starting to come around on the science of belief and actually getting way better. So that way it's not just us going like, you can heal yourself, yay, right? So tell us a little bit more about the science that backs up all the visualization stuff that you talked about.
Absolutely. So there was a study in the Olympics long time ago where they had some swimmers, and these Russian scientists, they basically made a group of them just visualize, and they coached them through the visualization. Okay, so you're standing on the diving board. All right, you hear the you jump in the water, you feel the water go over your skin. Now you're doing the perfect motions, and they guided them through the visualization. And they also just had another group just racing, just going, turning and burning, actually doing the swimming lessons. And at the end of it, the people who ended up won the gold medals was the people who just did visualization. Michael Phelps, for example, Michael Phelps' coach used to turn off the lights in the pool area, turn off the lights and put water in his goggles and make him swim with his eyes closed, visualizing him doing everything perfect. And one day he was in the Olympics. He dove in and everything was going good, and water started creeping in, and he immediately went to that moment where his coach trained him all those times, and he just closed his eyes and he kept going. And he ended up beating everybody with his eyes closed by massive amount of time. That's just one little example. Michael Jordan, Richard Bach. There's so many people that if you do your own research, Jim Carrey, this guy wrote a check to himself for $10 million, put it in his back pocket, did the visualization practices. And some people just call that luck. Some people call that destiny. I call it when hard work meets preparation. Just you can have anything you want in life as long as you're willing to go after it and get it.
See, that's what I appreciate though too, because it's not just like you sit there and do nothing but think, right? Because it's where luck meets preparation. So that way you actually have to take action on that. How do you know which pieces to take action on and what not to, though? That's going to get closer to that visualization that you're thinking about all the time.
Yeah. So in the book, I talk about the dream list, and we all have all these ideas that we want to achieve and everything. But if you don't write down what it is you want, it's so easy to get bombarded with a bunch of stuff. So in the dream list, I have several different sections, and I recommend everybody in this audience to do this. It's awesome. First is an adventure. Then you have health, emotional, intellectual, psychological, material, legacy, creative, financial, career, spirituality, and character. And what you do is you write those down and you write 3 bullet points for each one of them. And that gives you, okay, I want to work on this inside of my character. I want to buy this material item in the next 6 months. All right. Creative. I want to do this creative activity this week. In terms of my career, I want to overcome this inside of my career. And you just put 3 bullet points. You do that every quarter or once a year, even just do it once a year. And if you do that, you have objectives, guidelines, you have goals that you're going after that you've narrowed down. Okay, this is what I want with my life.
I love that you put character and stuff that is also intangible, not I just want a boat now and I want to, because I feel like when we're entrepreneurs that are overachievers, material things are an amazing, wonderful thing. And yet the character and we're talking about visualization and flow to try and get better daily, not just to be I got a boat, yay, because that's fleeting, right? So when we start going into, especially on the productivity side of some of this stuff, what else do you do daily that makes a big difference?
What else do I do daily that makes a big difference? Great question. A lot of people, we all know the importance of having a to-do list. Some people say, oh, throw your to-do list away. But I'm a firm believer that you have a to-do list. You write out everything that you want to do either the night before or that morning. And then you attack the most difficult task first. The thing that is most daunting to you, get it done first. And the second thing that's most daunting to you, get it done second. And you'll find that you're like, dang, I've already got the most challenging things done. It's not even 9:30. I feel like a success. That's the one tip I could give on productivity. Make a to-do list, knock out the toughest things first, and then the rest become easy.
So much easier to say than it is to do, because I know I should be doing that. And sometimes, and I even have a self journal so I can write down all the little things, because I'm a paper kind of gal. So I write down parts of the to-do list, and I will put the ones that are hard at first. And then I'm like, oh, but my email seems, well, this person really wanted. How do you actually get yourself to stick to that?
To the to-do list?
To the hardest one first.
Well, how bad do you want success in life? Like, I have a daughter, I have a wife, I have big dreams and goals. And I know that if I do those toughest things first, everything else is going to be easy. I want to be off by 3:00. I want to be spending time with my family. I don't want to be working. I used to work all day and all night. And I finally have come to a point in my life with success where I don't have to do that anymore. You have to grind your butt off when you're just getting started as an entrepreneur. But if you stack your money up, and one of the chapters I talk about sacrifice, and it's phenomenal what I learned, what some successful people. There's a website called in20years.com. I recommend all your listeners go to it. In20years.com takes a photo of your face, and then it morphs it to you 20 years later. And it shows you your face. It shows you what you're going to look like in 20 years, and it immediately makes you want to save money. Because statistics show that people like 1 out of 3 people never I don't know, I don't remember the statistic, but most people don't get to retire because they don't have money. And do that in 20years.com and then start putting away 10%
20years.com. Jeez, I'm like, I don't want to look at that. It will. So that will make me do the hardest thing first. I'm like, my life. I think that's an interesting point, that we don't have all the time in the world. And sometimes we just assume that we do. So instead of just trying to be more productive, it's really putting the things that are most important to you first. Like you were saying, once you have a daughter, you're like, oh, time with her, more important. And it's easy to sort of see the weight between that and not think about the other million things that you have to potentially do. But having a kid changes all of that anyway, as you know, right?
Right. I bring up that in20years.com because of the marshmallow effect. Mm-hmm. We're entrepreneurs right now. We're out there grinding, but they got a bunch of kids, and they said, hey, don't eat this marshmallow for a few minutes. And if you don't eat this marshmallow, you'll get 2 marshmallows. And like 80% of the kids couldn't resist, like the faces they made trying to resist. And then they finally just ate. And then those other 20% that didn't eat the marshmallow, they got the second marshmallow. They tracked those people for like 30 years or ish, something like that. And the 20% that didn't eat the marshmallow were more successful, more happy, more healthy, more abundance, more everything that they wanted. And those 80%, they were broke. They were in bad health. They, were ungrateful, just by the studies. So I bring that up because productivity is what we're talking about. And what's the point of being productive if you can't enjoy the light at the end of the tunnel? And we're talking about being productive. If you do the in20years.com, realize that be that child that doesn't eat the marshmallow right then and there, and wait, put some stuff away. Later, you're going to be able to reap the benefits. I mean, now I'm in a position where I have multiple homes. I have land in exotic places, and I don't have to work like I used to have to work because of the stuff that I put in this book, through the research of all the time and effort of, the research that I did, I put inside the book so people would have a shortcut to not have to be a slave when they're 50 years old.
That's funny. What's interesting is the marshmallow test. I made my children do the marshmallow test many, many times in their lives when they were younger, because I wanted to see like if they could wait. And they got so good at it. They were like, okay, how many marshmallows do I get if I just sit here for an hour, Mom? Like, like, okay, we've played out the marshmallow test now. No more playing out the marshmallow test. That being said, my daughter still loves spending her money as soon as she has it. So we're still working on it, right? But to me, it's the testing and the learning more about yourself. And that's what I was trying to hopefully get my kids to understand, right? Who knows? We're all testing with the children and with everything else. But I highly recommend everybody start testing this stuff, or go to in20years.com and realize that, hey, life is short. We better do the most with what we have right now. I know we have to start wrapping up in just a second, Justin. But before we get into that, I just wanted to ask a little bit more about what do you do when you've been visualizing for a little while, right? So how do we evolve that practice? Are you changing what you're visualizing and that's it? Or how do you make it longer? Tell me a little bit more when you're actually pretty good at it.
Yeah, so when you actually get pretty good at it, you just have to keep growing. You have to find a new technique. You have to find a new style, because just like advertisement, people become blind to it after a while. And just like visualization, you start to get bored with it. You feel it, you love it, but you need to change it up. Variety is the spice of life. And that's why, in Visions to the Top, I have an acronym. Visions is what the whole book is based around. Visualization, how to use it, how to maximize it. Intention, how to set your intention to achieve what you want. Subconscious programming, the importance of programming that subconscious. Inspiration, how to find tools and resources to keep you inspired. O for opportunity, how to see opportunity in different places and get wealthy from it. And then N, non-negotiables, the things that you have to set as non-negotiables to become that top performer and become the most productive and most successful person. And then last is sacrifice. Sacrifice the importance of it so you can be able to live now, live later is how others can't live, because you did the things today that others wouldn't do.
That makes perfect sense. And it's funny, I was watching my Mind movie today and was like, I don't actually want that thing that I have in the little Mind movie anymore. Like, it feels uninspired now. So it's a really good tip for me to go back through and actually change it. Because if I can't bring up the feelings of getting excited over the stuff that I want, what's the point of even having it on my list and looking at it every day, right?
Yeah, make that dream list, like I said, and have a bunch of different anchors. Like I said, spirituality, intellectual, physical, emotional, psychological, character, and then put 3 bullet points, and you'll get fired up about things that you didn't even know that would make you fired up.
The character ones especially because I want to be the person that my children are proud of and my family is. And you think of the deathbed kind of thing. And those are the things that really do truly matter too. Not just how many widgets I made in a thing. It's how many lives I've impacted and all those things. And that's really what matters in life. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask the last question that I always ask. So what's one action listeners can take this week to help move them forward towards their goal of 1 million?
Oh man, what a deep question. One action that they can do towards 1 million, I would say go get Visions to the Top, and then listen to the audiobook or read the book. And after you do that, the next action, if you already have the book or you just don't want it, whatever, I'd say attack your hardest task first, like we talked about. If you attack your hardest task first and overcome the fear of that task, and you do that every day, you will move mountains. You'll get so much done when you attack the hardest things first.
Great reminder for me too. Thanks so much for coming on the show today, Justin. I really, really appreciate it.
Great seeing you, Jamie. Have a good day, y'all.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode about visualization and productivity and how they intertwine together with Justin. This interview is brought to you by Chase Inc. Business Unlimited Credit Card. Go check out chase.com/inc for more information.